Hello, and happy fall from your friends here at the Financial Advisory Group. We just wanted to put together a little video to give you an update on us as a firm and also some of our thoughts as we head into the election and head into what has been the end of a pretty crazy year if you think about it. Boy, has it been a long, strange last 6 to 9 months. We'll get back to that point. But first, as a firm, Brad, Diana, and myself continue to come into the office pretty much on a daily basis. But recently, we've been lucky enough to have been joined by Mary more frequently, a couple times a week, as well as just this week, we started having Sharon and Kathy come back into the office on alternate days. So we're trying to return back to some form of normalcy. We will continue to keep you updated as to when we will start allowing client meetings here in the office. But as of now, we'll stick to phone calls, Zoom, FaceTime. And if you haven't been there yet, we do have a pretty nice picnic table set up outside we've been able to use during this nice weather the last couple weeks and couple months, although it might be pretty chilly sitting out there in a couple months in the middle of January. On to our thoughts on the election. That tends to be the number one question that we get these days is, should we do something heading into the election? The interesting thing is these elections tend to come around about every 4 years, and every 4 years, we get the same question. This is the part that I actually get to use some of my famous charts, so I've been looking forward to this. If you look back over time, what you can tell is that really who's in the office, who's in the White House, really doesn't matter. The most important thing is owning good companies, and that's what we wanted to focus on back in March, was not get too caught up in what path COVID would take, because we had no idea what path it would take, but we knew if we took advantage and bought good companies, we'd end up okay at the end. We'd say the same thing today. And if you look at this chart, it looks back almost over the last 100 years or so. And what you see, it really doesn't matter who's in office. That over time, markets tend to go up, especially if you focus on good, successful, strong companies. One of the next questions we tend to get is, well, what if we get a Democratic sweep? What if you all of a sudden have the White House and Congress controlled by Democrats? Well, the good thing is, if you look back in history, this has happened before. This may be surprising to some, but actually if you look, when Democrats have controlled both the White House and Congress, the average rate of return in those years has actually been 13%. Again, we want to stress the idea that politics and investing do not typically mix. So in our view, we don't want to focus much on the election. We want to focus on owning good companies. And it's important to keep in mind today that the Federal Reserve is doing everything it can to provide liquidity to these companies, so they are in a much safer position than they were 6 to 9 months ago. So again, we want to focus on the fact that we want to own good companies, not worry so much about who wins the election. This chart brings up a good point that an economist from JP Morgan said the other day on a call, that if you look back at the last 12 years, you really can't think of two more polar opposite administrations than the Obama and the Trump administration. No matter which side you fall on, it tends to be, we would all tend to agree that they're pretty opposite from each other. And the disappointing thing is when Obama won back in 2008, a lot of Republicans actually missed out on good returns because they let politics get in the way and missed out on some great returns during his presidency. Flip the script and Trump wins in 2016, and you had a lot of Democrats that missed out on great returns during the Trump administration. We would argue that the reason Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Netflix have all done well these last 10, 15 years aren't because of Obama, aren't because of Trump. It's because they're well-run companies that are making good decisions. In the end, it brings us back to sort of what we think we should do today. In our view, sometimes investing done right is a lot like watching grass grow. It can be pretty darn boring. So our thought right now is just to sit tight, focus on owning good companies, and not get too caught up in the volatility or the talk of what's to come ahead. We do think, as a warning though, that as we head closer to the election, the market might get more volatile. We've shown you a chart like this before, but I really like it because what it shows is we can choose what to focus on here. Sure, in the next 5 days, 5 weeks, we might see a market that gets pretty volatile, even has some pretty ugly down days. But as we said back in March, we'd rather focus on years, not days, weeks, or months. So we decide which to focus on, and at this point in time, we'd really prefer to focus on the long term as opposed to the short term. So There's our update for today. We do realize this is going to be a very loud, noisy election cycle, as I think everyone has become. And we sent a message out probably 10 years ago. And we said at this point in time, we really think it's a good time to put the headphones on and tune out the noise. We could repeat that again here today. It's going to be loud. There will be parties telling you that if this guy wins, the market will fall. If this guy wins, the market will go up. In the end, if good companies make good decisions, and if the Federal Reserve keep rates low, in our view, this is a time to sit tight and let things play themselves out and watch the grass grow. Thank you guys as always. We hope you have a great fall. We hope you're staying healthy, and we really look forward to seeing you again sometime here in the office. And like the Grateful Dead song said in the song Truckin', boy, what a long, strange trip 2020 has been. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.